All right, welcome back. I want to give you guys a little update while I'm sitting here waiting to get loaded. Sitting in Seguin, Texas. I'm waiting to get loaded with one going to Blue Springs, Mississippi. It's like almost 800 miles, 700 some odd miles. Got it for $900, which I'm happy with, to be honest. Anything with any kind of miles at all, Texas to anywhere, it's just been really cheap. We've had some guys here this week, so bidding on them. I mean, I know where the bids have been. Got this one later at night, so that helped. It helped with the rate altogether, so I didn't have to. I didn't have to come out of here at a really shitty rate. Once I get to Blue Springs, there's a couple options there. I'm gonna have to move a minimum of 100 miles, but and then probably some more miles after that to get loaded. But there's some places over there to try and get loaded. I just did a load recently. Took me out to Seward, Nebraska. Good load, solid paying load and everything. And the thing about it, the reason I'm bringing it up is when I got there like 2 o'clock in the morning Central. It was due to deliver by 7:30 in the morning Central. So I drove straight there. I got there. Now the place is open, but I wasn't sure if anybody was receiving or not. So I get there and there's a guard shack there, but there's no guard in there. The entrance to get on site, the gate was down, so I couldn't just go back there. Plus, I'd never been there before, so I wasn't sure where I would go anyhow. I mean, I'd just go back there and drive around and figure it out, man doors if I had to. Anyhow, so I'm looking for a security guard. Parking lot's full of cars for people working, and somebody comes up to me. He ends up telling me his last name is Paxton as well, and he's like, "Oh, we're probably not related," which he lives in Missouri. He's got family in Missouri, which there is a possibility that we're related because my family, my dad, he was born in Arkansas, and we do have family in Missouri and Arkansas. So didn't get to talking to him that much. For one, I was super tired. It was the middle of the night. It was freezing cold. But anyhow, he's like, "Oh yeah, I'll go check for you." He said, "Just get in your van, stay warm. Somebody will be out here to let you know something regardless, whether or not you can or can't get unloaded." I'm like, cool, great. So I'm sitting there. It's been a half hour. Okay. Now we're at an hour. I'm like, God dang, man. I'm starting to get antsy. For one, I'm tired. I'm working off of a few hours, not the full night's sleep, but enough. And I had been driving. I'm close to almost being up for almost 24 hours because I woke up at about 5:30 in the morning. So we're getting close to that. And I'm starting to get really aggravated. So I see some people coming into work, and I catch one going in. And I'm like, hey, I'm trying to get a hold of somebody. Somebody went inside to check on it, and I haven't heard back from them or anything. And she calls on her phone. I see her. She's over by the guard shack. She's getting ready to walk in. She's an employee. I hear her. She calls. She said, "Hey, such and such, there's a van out here." And she said, oh, okay. And then she hangs up and she walks off. So I'm like, okay, she called somebody. She got a hold of somebody. Somebody be coming out. Another hour passes. Dude, I was so pissed off, man. I was in here, like, slamming on my freaking, like, just like, hammering on my freaking door right here, man. Like, just so pissed off, punching on my door. I wanted to just lay on the horn. That's what I wanted to do. I just wanted to freaking lay on the horn. I was so aggravated because I was tired. And then just being ignored like that just aggravated the shit out of me. Obviously, I didn't do the horn or anything because I'm thinking, yeah, that's all I need is just, it just wouldn't be worth it. I was super pissed off, though. And that's the thing about being tired. You just get real cranky, obviously. I ended up just going to the Casey's gas station, gassed up, because I was, like, really low on fuel. And I'm sitting there idling all that time, too, man, because it's freezing ass cold. Not thinking I'm going to be sitting there for 2 hours. It'd be different if it was like, okay, it's going to be 2 hours, then I would have acted accordingly. But when you're sitting there, that's one of the bad things about this industry, whether you're in the big trucks, these vans, whatever. It's like when you get to some of these shippers and receivers and they're telling you, we're going to check on it, you think that any minute you're going to go do what you're supposed to do, get unloaded or loaded or whatever it may be. So you're not thinking long term. So I'm sitting here idling, and I'm like real low. I'm like 40 miles to empty at this point. So I go to the Casey's, gassed up, topped off the diesel tank, came back, Just went into the corner of the parking lot, got in the back, went to sleep, man. Slept for a couple hours, woke up, went inside. The gate was open. Wasn't nobody at the guard shack, so I just drove in. Basically, found my way. Seen somebody walking, asked them where the driver check-in was. He pointed me in the direction, so I just kept driving. Went in, checked in, got offloaded. Easy peasy at that point. I was going to go right back to sleep because I was dead tired, but I ended up taking off and started heading east because the prior night I ended up booking a load for myself picking up out of Chicago. So it was like 500-some mile deadhead to go pick that load up. I think it was like 319 loaded miles altogether. 2 stops, 319 miles. It was going over to Michigan, and I got that for $600. So, good rate for that one. Unfortunately, the 500-some mile deadhead, but again, I booked it because we had 2 people already in the general area. Well, I had actually booked one of them prior to mine. I booked my guy who was in St. Joseph, got him one, going from Iowa to Wisconsin. And then we had another guy that was ahead of me. He was on his way out of Colorado, heading over to Omaha. So I had that load and then started heading east to go pick that up. Ended up stopping at a rest area and crashed out for a few hours and whatnot. Ended up getting over into Chicago that night. Man, over there near the airport, there's a Love's and a Pilot. Any of you guys who do this, that you guys have probably been there. Those 2 freaking truck stops are jam-packed with vans, man. Jam-packed. I bypassed the Pilot. For one, it was like I didn't see hardly any parking spots. There was probably 15, 20 vans parked in that little spot. So I went on down to the Love's. Love's had several vans too. I went inside to use the restroom and whatnot and asked the manager inside, I said, hey man, there's no spots on the side. I said, is it okay if I park in the last spot along the front of the building? He was like, cool, yeah. He's like, yeah. He's like, and I told him, I said, I'm going to be out of here about 7 o'clock in the morning. So I got a pickup in the morning, which was Sunday morning. And he's like, yeah. He said, I'll be in here all night, so you're good right there. He said, I'll be on shift all night, so you're good there. He said, the next shift comes in about 6:37, so everything should be good, which I appreciate. And again, that's all you got to do, guys. Sometimes just ask. And again, don't assume if you see somebody parked up front that they're just being like, F them. Yeah, just go ahead and check in and everything, guys. But yeah, I went, got that picked up, went to the airport. You know how airport pickups are. They're kind of tension-filled because you don't know how long you're going to be sitting. That's why anytime, guys, if you have an airport pickup or you bid a load and you see it says to get paperwork in hand, most likely it's an airport pickup. So make sure you bid accordingly, man. Those loads pay decent. You have to be willing to bid accordingly because there's sometimes you may not get your freight. There's times you may be sitting there for hours. It's just it can just be a pain in the ass to do it. So just be sure that you're getting paid to do those the right way, man. Like, it's not a normal load. So just make sure you're asking for more money. Anytime you see that, bid it accordingly. Don't just bid it like it's a normal load, because a lot of times they won't let you know it's an airport. But if you see that it says paperwork in hand, more likely going to be an airport. So hit them with some extra money. I'm going to end this video with going over my last week. This was last week. I'm in a new week now. Today is actually Wednesday, so I'm in the 3rd day of this week. But my last week of expediting, full week, I ended up with 7 loads. I ended up with 2,740 loaded miles, 504 deadhead miles. That's 18%. That's on the higher side. I grossed $4,015. That's $1.46 a loaded mile and $1.24 for all the miles combined. And again, guys, I feel like I have to put a disclaimer with this every time. Remember, I have access to my load boards. I run under my own authority. I don't have anybody taking any money out of this besides factoring and everything once it's all said and done. There are expenses out of that, but nobody's in between. I don't have a dispatcher I pay. I'm not on with the carrier. I'm not splitting a percentage or anything. It all goes to me. So that's why sometimes on some of these weeks it's really good rates, it's really good pay, and that's, again, it's because I'm fortunate enough and lucky enough to get some of them good loads, but also because nobody's putting their hand into my money at that point. So my point in all this is just to let you know, man, don't be distracted by what I'm telling you, because if you're going to drive for a carrier or under a dispatch, you're going to have a percentage taken out. Now, if you can still get those rates, with that being the case, fuck, man, you're doing brilliant. You're doing excellent. And I'll be honest, call me. Tell me who you're with, because I'd like to get in touch with them and ask if they're a broker and if they're willing to, if we can sign up with them, do a carrier packet with them and try to get some freight from them, because they can get you this kind of pay. If they can get you this kind of pay and they're taking their percentage, whether it be 15%, 25%, whatever it may be, like that's great. Seriously, that's great. Just a little side note to that. You'll see a lot of people posting. So if you're on Facebook and you're watching TikTok or YouTube or whatever, there are several people that post their rates, but they're not taking out. They're not letting you know that that's not what they get. That's not what they're taking home. They haven't taken out their dispatch cut. They just haven't done all that, because I've seen that several times, and I wish they would let people know exactly what's going on with that, because people can get a little misled if they see those numbers, because I've seen it several times. People posting like, oh, it's this, and then you talk to them personally, or you talk to somebody that knows them personally, it's like, oh yeah, that's before their dispatch is 25% or their dispatch fee of 15%, and then plus their weekly payments of this and fees and whatnot. So it's it can be misleading, and I'm not trying to mislead you guys, because I love this industry. I'm okay with the pay. I do other things to make sure I have more money besides just the van I'm driving. So I don't want to mislead any of you to think that you can come out, drive for a fleet owner, or just get a van and everything's going to be roses and you're going to make all kinds of money, because the majority of the time that's not the case. It really isn't. More times than not, people are failing out here and people are not doing well. So just please, I'm just trying to make sure you understand things. I'm not trying to fluff this for you. I'm not trying to be like, oh, look at me, I'm making great money. And again, even if I was bragging, some of you guys may say, hey, that ain't shit money. So that's fine, and that's okay. I'm not talking about the money to be showboating or in any way whatsoever. I'm just doing it in an informative, information sharing manner. That's the only reason I'm giving this to you. All right, with that being said, I've got a 5 o'clock pickup. I got here this morning. I've been here all day. Checked in at 3 because my rate con said 3 o'clock. I went in, checked in. They're like, oh, no, you're supposed to be here at 5 o'clock. So 5 o'clock it is, which sucks because I'm here an extra 2 hours. But normally you get a 2-hour grace period as far as on the shipping end and receiving end, as far as before you can start getting detention. So if they get me loaded 2-hour mark, I just sat here for 2 extra hours. But it's nothing really lost. It's just 2 extra hours that I could have used for sleep. But if I really wanted to, I can call them and tell them like, hey, like I lost 2 hours on the front end. I need it put onto the back end. So again, there's nothing really lost. Delivers first thing in the morning. Yeah, and then we're going to get ourselves in a position to try and get something else, man. I'm gonna try and update you guys tomorrow. Hopefully I got some good news for you and we got out of there. But till then, I'm out.
Your hustle got to be strong in this industry, as in any other industry.